So what is happening in Iran is abhorrent, and the killing of the young people is a human tragedy. I cannot comment on other countries' activities. That's for them to decide what they do. But indeed, we are looking into deepening the sanctions against Iran. The sanctions are biting. So I would not just put them aside. They are biting and they have their effect. They are weakening the regime, and the sanctions help to push forward that this regime comes to an end and that there is a change. Your country stands at the crossroads of continents and cultures, and this gives Cyprus and Cypriots a unique expertise in dialogue, in negotiations, and in diplomacy. And these are assets that will matter greatly as your steer of our common agenda in the first half of 2026 is paramount. And as together we navigate in turbulent geopolitical waters, it fits that the motto, the theme of your presidency is an autonomous union open to the world. Concretely, this means that together we will be working on three key strands that will strengthen our independence. It is security and defence, it is competitiveness and decarbonisation, and it is democracy and partnerships. My first point is on security and defence. Last year, at the European level, we have made more progress in defence than in decades before. We have presented the white paper. We have presented the readiness roadmap till 2030. But we have also enabled the member states to mobilise up to 800 billion euros to make this readiness roadmap really happen, so to implement it and to invest in the gaps, the capabilities that we need. And this includes the 150 billion for joint procurement, the SAFE programme. Yesterday we had in the College of Commissioners the first 8 plans, national plans of member states out of 19 member states that have signed up. It was approved in the College, and now it's urgent for the Council to approve these plans to allow fast disbursement. And if things go fast, we could set the record that from the proposal of SAFE in the College till disbursement, we just needed 1 year. That would be fantastic. Closely linked to our work on security and defence is Ukraine. Peace talks are ongoing. At the same time, Russia continues its brutal shelling. This is the moment to keep our support strong and sustained so we can put Ukraine in a position of strength on the battlefield, but also at the negotiation table. And your presidency will have the key role to play to ensure a swift agreement between Council and Parliament on the 90 billion loan we have agreed on, or we have proposed yesterday, the legal proposal in the College, and we agreed politically on it in December in the European Council. At the same time, we're working with the United States and other partners on the so-called prosperity pillar for Ukraine, for a future peace agreement, how to recover the Ukrainian economy. And here let me underline that the central role that Ukraine's accession to the European Union plays. We have seen by experience that with accession to the European Union, a huge boost in economic growth happened. Poland is an example. Since accession to the European Union, Poland doubled its economic size because of access to the single market. So accession is both a key security guarantee in its own right for Ukraine, but also the essential engine for future growth and prosperity of Ukraine. The needs right now are immense, but our track record is also impressive. In general, it is time for a new European approach to that. And in the environment that we have right now, in security and defence, we have decided that it is also time during your presidency to come with a new European security strategy. My second point is on a competitive European Union, because only if we are economically strong we can secure our independence. The beating heart, of course, of our economy is the single market, as you know. We will present the 28th regime package to support innovative companies so that they have only one single and simple set of rules to operate within the European Union, a reduction of bureaucratic burden and more speed in the growth of companies, innovative companies within the European single market. But as important as the single market is a deep and liquid capital market, we have presented ambitious files on the Savings and Investments Union, which now need to make significant progress during your presidency. Now, finally, we will continue with our work on simplification and burden reduction. You know that 10 omnibuses are on their way, but they all have to reach their destination, so we count on you here in the Council Presidency. If these omnibuses are finally agreed, this means 12 billion euros burden reduction for our economy every year. But as I said, not the departure is crucial, but the arrival of the omnibuses agreed is important. Then for competitiveness, not looking only at our single market, there's another important aspect. Europe's independence benefits a lot from our strong and growing network of trade agreements. They help to diversify and de-risk. And with that backdrop, Saturday in Paraguay, we will write history. We will sign the EU-Mercosur Partnership Agreement, indeed after 25 years of negotiations. It will create the largest free trade zone in the world, but our ambition goes further. We're working hard to conclude our negotiations in your presidency with India, preferably at the end of this month, as well as with many partners like Australia, the United Arab Emirates and Malaysia. So all in all, and this was only a short glimpse on the competitiveness topic, my third point is our common work on migration. You mentioned it too. We must work hand in hand to implement the Pact on Migration and Asylum, and there the next 6 months will be absolutely crucial. And I'm glad that I can count on Cyprus' experience. The overall situation in Europe has substantially improved in the recent years. If I may cite figures from Cyprus, there it's visible. Irregular arrivals fell by 62% in 2025 compared to 2024. And if you mirror that to the European level, it confirms the trend.
President von der Leyen, as you said, we live in very turbulent times, so turbulent that several member states sent troops to Greenland. So can you please share your thoughts about the situation in Greenland, how the EU can support Denmark? And more broadly, you mentioned the new European security strategy. What do you think should change at EU level in the governance? Commissioner Kubilius last Sunday mentioned a European Security Council, for instance. So what should we change and how fast? Thank you.
To take the second question first, we are starting to work on a new European security strategy. And at the beginning of the work, it's not wise to limit or to expand explicitly already the different topics. So at the end, when we present the national security, the European security strategy, of course you will get answers on that one. But the purpose is indeed this exercise really to collect all the knowledge, to acknowledge the changes, the geostrategic changes and needs that are out there, but also the geopolitical changes in our world, and to give an appropriate answer to that one. On Greenland, what is clear is that Greenland can count on us politically, economically and financially. And when it comes to its security, the discussions on Arctic security are first and foremost a core issue of NATO. But I also want to emphasize that it is the Arctic and Arctic security, both topics, are core topics for the European Union and matter enormously for us. This is, among others, the reason why we double down on investments and supporting Greenland. You might have seen in the draft budget, we have doubled the amount of financial support to Greenland. I have visited Greenland last year, I think it was in February or March, before this all started, and we established an office, a bureau in Greenland to have a very close cooperation with the Greenlandic government and people. We are discussing investments. We're doubling down on these investments now. The European Union has a very good reputation in Greenland, and we are counting very much on the excellent cooperation that we have. We will thus continue our work on Arctic security with our allies, our partners, including the United States. So what is happening in Iran is abhorrent, and the killing of the young people is a human tragedy. I cannot comment on other countries' activities. That's for them to decide what they do. But indeed, we are looking into deepening the sanctions against Iran. These sanctions are biting. So I would not just put them aside. They are biting and they have their effect. They are weakening the regime, and the sanctions help to push forward that this regime comes to an end and that there is a change. It is in the very end the people of Iran who are bravely fighting for a change. They have our full support. They have our full political support. They ask us also to list, not only as we've done the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, but also others that are responsible for the atrocities. They are asking us to list them, and I can fully understand with what is happening in Iran that this is something of importance, and yes, we will do so.